Okay, so we're going to start moving into compound inequalities. So make sure you put your date at the top of your notes and title it Compound Inequalities. There's two types of inequalities. There's conjunctions and disjunctions. And basically we're going to focus on conjunctions today. So a conjunction is when you have two inequality equations and the answers of a conjunction satisfy both equations. Tomorrow we'll look at disjunctions and you'll kind of see the difference a little bit there. Okay, so we have two inequalities. So let's do an example because that'll sort of let us know exactly what I mean by two solutions that satisfy the equations. So you're going to have an example like this. All numbers less than 55 and greater than 45. Okay, so all numbers. So we know we're talking about inequalities, and you know you're talking about greater than, right? So if I look here, I'm going to break this up into two sections. So the first thing I'm going to see is I'm going to say all, oops. I'm going to look at all numbers less than 55. So I'm going to give all numbers a variable of x. So I'm going to say x, and it doesn't say including 55, so I'm going to say less than 55. But it also means that all numbers are greater than 45. So I have two types of things. I'm talking about the numbers that are less than 45 or 55, but the numbers that are greater than 45. So if you think about a number line here, and we'll have to graph these eventually, and let's say this is 45, and then we'll go up 10, 50, 55. So this is saying x is smaller than 55 but greater than 45. So if I look at this, I'm talking about not 55 but all the numbers below it. But here I'm talking about x will also be all the numbers above it. So basically I'm talking about any numbers between these 2 points. So 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54 would all satisfy what this is saying. So this is called a conjunction because it's talking about a range of numbers here. So when we're doing conjunctions, we write them what's called in compound form. Okay, and so what I want to do is I want to combine this part of the answer and this part of the answer. So I'm going to put my x in the middle. I know x is less than 55, so I'm going to write my less than 55. And then I also know x is greater than 45, so I'm going to put greater than 45. Now some of you might take a minute and say, what do you mean greater? This is less than. When you're dealing with compound inequalities and you're dealing with x's, you always read from the position of the x. So here's my x. If I look to the right, this says x is less than 55, which is what I have here. Now when I go to the left, I read it this direction. So I read x is greater than 45, which is this part. So it's almost like you're reading it right to left and then left to right. So this is called compound form. And this is my answer right here. So my number for x is going to be the numbers less than 45 or 55 but greater than 45. So let's look at another example here. This one says all numbers greater than or equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and write myself an inequality there. All numbers greater than or equal to 0. And is our key word. When you see the word and, that tells me I'm going to have a conjunction. And that'll sort of come in. Ooh, that was delayed. Come in later. So a key word, which should be in your notes, is the word and tells you you're going to have a conjunction or compound inequality. And then and less than or equal to 6. So I know x is also going to be less than or equal to 6. I find that it helps me to draw a number line on each one of these. It's not required, but you can. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I know x is going to be greater or equal to 0, so it's a solid dash, and that's heading this way. And then less than or equal to 6, so that includes 6 in this way. So I'm talking about all these numbers in between. So solutions to this conjunction are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you can even go in between, 0.5, 1.5, 2.5, and so on. Okay? So now the hardest part of all of this is writing this in compound form. So when I write in compound form, I like to take my first one, and I'll write x is greater than or equal to 0. And then this is x is less than or equal to 6. So remember, I'm reading right to left, less than or equal to 6. So I read it this way, x is greater than or equal to 0, or x is less than or equal to 6. Another key thing that you should put in your notes is you know you've done a good job if both your signs are sort of facing the same direction. So usually, if you know how one of these goes for sure, you can do the other one because you know they're going the same direction. So they're both looking that way. But remember, you read it from the perspective of x. So x is greater than or equal to 0, and x is less than or equal to 6. So you might want to write yourself a little part in your notes there that both those inequalities should be facing the same way if you did it correctly, at least at this stage in the game. All right, so I want you to try this one on your own. On the edge you can and pick the correct answer. Then you're going to try this one on your own. And sometimes it helps to be able to do them backwards. So I want you to look at a couple like this. This one, they actually gave me the number line, and I got to write the conjunction, right? So if I look at it, these are filled in, right? And the number line's going up from 2, but down from 6. So I know that x is greater than or equal to 2, but x is less than or equal to 6. And then I got to write that in compound form. So again, I'm going to put my x in the middle. Pick one of these that you want to start with. We can do x is less than or equal to 6, and then x is greater than or equal to 2. So when I'm looking at this, I'm reading it from right to left, and it should be greater than or equal to 2. And then I know they're both going in the same direction, so I did it correctly. So I want you to try a couple of these also. So let's try this one. So this will be 3, and let's try this one, and this one will be 4. And then to make sure you take your notes, do your questions, and we'll go over it when you walk into class tomorrow. Have a good night.